Steve Martin in his first match had too much speed on. I was saying Steve Martin in the first match had too much speed on the ball and it was skidding. This match he's a perfect shot. In this match he has switched balls and he is softer and getting more roll on the ball and he's creating more area to the pocket.
Mattingly and Martin out by 12 pins, and this is Jeff Mattingly. He is the man who starts the ball way right and brings it back most of the time.
And Jeff made a perfect shot. His biggest asset is he stays down and through the shot, and with his powerful forearms and wrist action, he gets a lot of roll on his ball and very good pin action.
Larry Laub. He and Palmer are down by 22 pins as they face 3 straight strikes.
Larry needs a strike here to keep this match close.
He got it. I don't mean to say anything about Mattingly and Martin, but I want to repeat again what happened as you take a look at this replay. And the perfect strike ball, that Mattingly and Martin were up by 40 pins in match number 1 and only by 4 as they started the 10th frame. Here's Steve Martin.
Steve Martin said he's been concentrating on getting more turn on the ball than he got on the winter tour, trying to throw the ball more like Mark Roth and Marshall Holman, and it's working this week for him. And he's staying down good. There you see it. That's the left lane that's tighter. Not enough roll. He's got
talking to Steve, he said that one of his idols is you, Steve. What brought that on?
Well, when he was 14 years old, I went home with him to Kingsport, Tennessee. He was practicing, and I told him to work on his arm swing. He says I'm one of his idols, but he doesn't respect me very much. I don't think. He won his first title beating me in my hometown of Sarasota last summer.
He gets a 2-4-5. Larry Laub would love to win here, and his wife's going to present him with a baby next month, but that's not the way to win here, is it?
No, it's not. Palmer has got to get his concentration better. He's higher going to the line. He does not have as much knee bend as he had last night in the finals. And on that particular shot, he also got his elbow out to the right, causing the ball to skid.
Down by 12 pins before leaving himself the 2, 4, 5, and 8.
Palmer said he's working on this week, trying to stay behind the ball more. He said every time he gets on the side of the ball wants to skid out, and that's exactly what happened on his first shot.
He got him. Well, that's the way to cover 2, 4, 5, 8. We're now through the second frame here, the PBA Doubles Classic in San Jose, California, and the race for the $16,000 first prize, and we'll come back in just a moment.
From Philadelphia to Phoenix.
Doubles Classic, and you can see that Palmer Fallgren and Larry Laub are down by 12 pins to Jeff Mattingly and to Steve Martin. Now this is Larry Laub. He has done very well for his team. It is Palmer that's having the troubles. Larry is working on strikes in the first and second frame, and we are now in frame 3.
Larry said he practiced every day for the last 5 weeks and bowled in 3 regional tournaments, finishing first in 2 of them, 1 second and 1 fourth.
Looking for a 3rd in a row and will not get it.
And that's what I've been talking about all afternoon with rearing up. You've got to stay down on the shot, especially on this condition. This condition is more of a swing condition, and you have to get the ball to the right. The minute you rear up on the shot, it causes the ball to go left of your target and through the nose.
Looking for the 6-10 to cover those 2. Oops, has left himself the 10, and after strikes in the first and second, he has opened in the 3rd. And that's going to bring it down considerably closer, down to a total of being 26 pins away from Mattingly and Martin. And Jeff Mattingly was from the same hometown as Earl Anthony, Tacoma, Washington. Coming into his own.
Harry, get up.
No, it looked to me like Jeff drifted a little bit to the left on the approach and then which caused his elbow to get out to the right. And every time that happens, you lose roll on the ball.
They called him the white whale. I wonder why.
Jeff said he gained about 15 pounds during the break from the winter tour, and it's causing him to rear up on his shot, so he's working on staying down because of that too.
Well, he clears out the 2-5. Jeff is a slow pitch pitcher in softball, likes to do that. And if you see that hook, I bet he could be murdered in slow pitch. But here's Palmer Fallgren, weightlifter, works on his conditioning. Right now he's working on his game.
There's a good positive shot by Palmer.
Leaves himself to 10, though. He's had
Palmer made a much better shot that time. He was firmer, he stayed through the shot, but he also got a little bit faster on that shot. The speed is what caused that 10-pin to stand that time.
Opened in the first, got a spare in the second, and now trying to cover the 10 in the third, down by 25 pins.
Palmer has a classic style. He's worked with Don Johnson quite a bit in the past on his timing with getting his footwork just a little bit further ahead of his swing so he gets a little more leverage on the ball.
Here's Steve Martin, age 20, Kingsport, Tennessee.
Steve Martin takes the full approach and has a very loose arm swing.
They did 2 square on a head pin that time. Someone said that Steve has that accent from Kingsport. He said he doesn't travel with 2 dogs, he travels with 2 dogs.
Steve got too direct on that shot. As I said before, this is a swing shot. You have to stay down and through the shot and get it to the right. Get it out to the right and let it hook back. And it looks like he's afraid to really trust the ball and send it there, but that's what he's going to have to do.
And he's got to get the 369 pins. He had a 268 earlier this week, looking for the 369 right now, and gets them.
And that's an excellent cover. That sleeper pin in the back, the 9-pin, is sometimes very hard to move out of there.
Martin and Mattingly have a 22-pin lead now over Laub and Fallgren. And I'll repeat again as a look at Jeff, that they were up by 40 pins in mid-game of the quarterfinals. Left the 10 as Jeff Mattingly steps back. We talk about his hook, but Steve, show us again how he rests that ball against his wrist. I mean, he really bends it back there. I don't think that many bowlers anywhere do that.
I've never seen another bowler with a style like Jeff Mattingly's. Jeff's using a different ball for the spare, one that goes straighter. And he's improved his spare game considerably in the last year on the tour. That had always been his downfall, but now he's straightening out his shot and going very direct at his spares, and he's gotten a good feel for it. And
send me a dozen of those balls that go straight, will you? Larry Laub.
Larry Laub lays the ball very short at the foul line.
Oh, he got some action.
But does not lift the ball hard so he can get away with that. And actually, he needs to lay the ball short because he doesn't lift the ball to get the good pin action. As you see right there, the ball with a good roll hits light, but still does not deflect and hits the 5, and the 5 carries out to 4 and 7.
As you look at Steve Martin, what you're looking at is the semifinals of the PBA Doubles Classic. The winners of this will go on to face Marshall Holman and the Bowler of the Year, Mark Roth, in the finals. For $16,000, Steve Martin left way wide.
Steve Martin was having considerable problem with his footwork in the first match, and before this match started, he changed his shoes. So he's trying to get comfortable on the approach. He needs to get his feet a little bit slower and get more firm at the line.
And needs to get the 1, 2, 8 pins. It's an 18-point difference at the moment.
On his first shot, because he got fast, he lost leverage and the ball skidded out.
1, 2, 8. That's the way to do it. Palmer Fallgren. I asked Steve about Palmer, and he said he is probably the happiest person I know, not only on the golf tour, but anywhere in the world. It didn't look like it there,
He didn't look very happy there. No, you can really see the concentration on that shot.
Wow, he left it way outside the pocket to the right.
Palmer looks to me like he needs to move a little to the right on the approach with his feet and stay down and through and get more roll on his ball. He needs to stay behind it more like he has been trying to do all week.
The only tournament he's won in his PBA career has been right here at the Saratoga Lanes 4 years ago, and he did not get all of the wood he needed. He needed a 2, 4, 5, and 8, and didn't get them.
No, like Steve Martin, Palmer's also having a little problem with the approach. Caused him to stick, rear up a little at the foul line, and the ball went left of the target.
Now remember, Mattingly and Martin are the 3rd ranked, and Laub and Fallgren are the 2nd ranked. And it is Laub and Fallgren are down by 33 pins through the 4th frame. And we'll come back after this.
Keeping our country beautiful and safe.
At the scoreboard, and you can see that Laub and Fallgren are up by, I should say, down by 33 pins to the 3rd ranked Mattingly and Martin. How did they get here? There were 36 games of qualifying for all those who entered. They took the top 4 teams for a televised match today. Now, all of the pinfall until today has just been erased. It's now sudden death. So what they're doing now, total pins for each team determines the winner, and then you forget those pins and go on to the next. And waiting in the wings, as we said, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. So So it's just on total team pinfall in this particular match that determines who goes on. Laub and Fallgren, or Mattingly and Martin. Everything in the first 3 days, that's forgotten. That's just qualified these 4 teams to get here. Here's Larry Laub. His team is down by 33 pins. We're in the 5th frame.
And with a strike here, he can cut that margin to 23.
What if he heard you?
And that was a very nice stroke.
Oh, what if he heard you?
Laub got the ball down very early and stroked straight through it with a real straight arm swing. There you can see the real good roll on the ball. The ball doesn't deflect. And when the ball doesn't deflect, the 10 falls.
Here's Jeff Mattingly, who had one of the 300 games here this year.
Mattingly's last shot on this lane slid. So he'll be thinking about that on this shot. And there you see it. He over-adjusted on that one.
Right on the head pin and left himself the 310.
A little bit softer and pulled that ball left of his target.
Laub has had a strike here in the 5th frame, and Mattingly starts off the 5th frame for his team, leaving the 310.
And Jeff doesn't like what he sees on that shot.
Not happy at all.
Jeff used 2 balls this week, one with a lot of top weight for the oil and one with no top weight for a lot of oil, and one
up. He just got the 10 and missed the 3, and he is open, and all of a sudden, folks, we're down to a 10-pin difference.
And I'm surprised Jeff tried to hook the ball that much for that 310 split. It's better if you can go straight. It's a lot easier to make the 310.
Palmer could really put some pressure on with this ball.
There's a good shot from Palmer.
This ball, but he left himself the 10-pin.
All right, Palmer made a good shot that time. Fallgren needs now to line up off of that shot. That was a good shot. He needs to move his feet a little to the right and maybe move his target also a little to the right, so that the ball hit a little harder the next time he's on that lane and carry that 10.
He's after the 10 and covers.
Palmer's one of the best spare shooters on tour. He amps up his speed and throws the ball directly at all his spares.
Young Steve Martin, who has won nearly $11,000 this year, looking for a $16,000 first prize.
There's a real look at the roll on this ball.
Good ball.
That shot he stayed down and through on.
Here's Steve Martin. Steve Neff talks about his arm swing, but the footwork of Martin was excellent. Now here is Mattingly. Here's the footwork of Martin.
Yes. On this particular shot, he got his footwork a little bit slower. So when he got to the line, he didn't stick. And it gave him the good leverage that got that ball back to the pocket after he sent it out.
Mattingly.
That ball was trying to get a little bit too heavy. Jeff Mattingly and Steve Martin are both basically playing the same line, sending it out to the right, and look where that ball finished, clear over the 8-pin spot. Shows you how strong a ball he throws.
Unexpected father with a strike ball.
And that shot looked exactly like the shot he threw in the previous frame. Nice deliberate footwork and straight follow through. 1, 2, 3, 4, and straight follow through with just a little turn and lays the ball short and rips the rack.
And you know what we have, folks? Here in the 6th frame, it is dead even. There's not a pin difference between these 2 teams. Steve Martin. He's trying to wave it over there, but can't wave it over and has left him something that's going to liable to open it up. He's left himself the 4-9.
And that's that left lane that's so much tighter than the right lane. On that shot, Steve tried to go a little bit more direct because on the previous frame on that lane, he swung it and the ball did not make the turn.
Well, we're up by 33 pins, Steve. Then it came down to even, and now Martin has a tough shot, or he'll open here in the 6th frame. 4-9. The pins he's got to get.
He has to hit that 4-pin on the extreme left side and slide that into the 9. Extremely difficult shot.
He said he's a good spare shooter, but not this time. He does not get it. He opens in the 6th frame, and all of a sudden, Mattingly and Martin, who were up by 33, find themselves down by 12 pins. Palmer Fallgren.
All right, Palmer has to concentrate now on staying slow and staying behind the ball, giving it a good roll. That was an excellent shot.
And left the 10-pin, however.
Palmer Fallgren's last 2 shots were perfect. What he needs to do now is just get lined up and get the roll and the at the right points on the lane. That ball slid a little bit too far before it went into its roll.
We ask all of the golfers, Steve, you know this, what are their bowling goals? And Palmer's very modest. He wants to win the U.S. Open, the Tournament of Champions, the Masters, the PGA National, and be the PBA Player of the Year. Outside of that, not much.
He wants to win all the big ones.
I don't blame him. What's he in the business for? Covers the 10 nicely. And his team is up now by 11 pins over Mattingly and Martin.
And Larry Laub is working on a strike. So with the strike here, he can increase that lead to 21.
We'll repeat again. Mattingly and Martin defeated Capel and his partner Handley and have advanced to meet Laub and Fallgren. We're down by 33. Now Laub and Fallgren are up by 11. There's Laub with a good-looking ball, but like Palmer, has left the 10 pin.
Larry Laub didn't quite get the roll on that ball that he had on the previous ball. You can watch his shot here. Nice shot, goes through the ball really good, but probably got that ball over the foul line just a little bit further. And Larry Laub's particular style, when he gets the ball over the foul line, he doesn't get as much roll.
Looking to cover the 10 pin, which he does. Winner of 11 PBA titles, and asking around the center here, everybody seems to agree that Larry Laub is one of the most underrated top bowlers on the tour. Here is Jeff Mattingly, the white whale out of Tacoma, Washington, as we said, which also produced Earl Anthony, who was here but finished no better than 22nd.
Jeff's working on a strike. This is a big shot for him to get the match back close.
By heavens. Yes. You don't have to bowl too much to know that's the 7-10 split, and that's what we folks at the local lanes don't like to see.
Nobody likes to see that 7-10, but the way Jeff left this 7-10 is a particularly bad break. He makes a good shot here. Gets the, I guess we're not going to see it.
We're just saying that he wasn't too happy with it, is what we're seeing. And he took the 7 pin out and left himself the 10 and has opened in the frame.
That big hook that Jeff throws, sometimes the ball finishes a little bit too much behind the pocket and leaves, it gets actually a double tap. One on the 7, one on the 10.
We watch Palmer.
And Palmer did not make a positive shot that time. He was slower, and he reared up at the foul line and looked like he was just completely out of time on that shot.
Well, what has happened is Martin has opened in the 6th frame. Mattingly's opened in the 5th and 7th frames, and they've gone from 33 up to 24 down. You just don't open again in this kind of competition.
This match is, I don't want it, you take it.
The winners go on against Mark Roth and Marshall Holman, who won this championship once before. Here again, the style of Palmer Fallgren.
Very classic style. But on that shot, you can see his right leg came up. He's faster to the line than he has been all week. And that's why his shots are not hitting the pocket today.
Steve Martin was the man who came up with a double in the 10th. That sealed the quarterfinal win, and now he's going to need some more heroics here after opening in the 6th frame. Steve's only 102 through the 6th.
Steve Martin, like Marshall Holman, takes the full approach. Starts at the very back with very fast footwork.
I can't blame him there, Steve. That looked like a good ball to me. And he winds up having to go for the spare here, having left himself the 6 and the 10. He thought he had it, and I thought he might have had it.
I think he was a little surprised that that ball hooked so much. But as I said before, this is a swing condition. You have to stay down and through the shot and get a lot of roll on the ball and make the ball hook back.
6-10, he covers. Okay, we've got just a couple of frames to go. And right now it is Laub and Fallgren who are up by 22 pins. And we'll come back to San Jose. But now this. As we begin the 8th frame of the semifinals of the Doubles Classic.
That was a nice shot.
I got some good wood, too. We've seen a couple of good balls, Steve, only to leave the 10.
Yes, on that shot, Jeff got a little bit faster with his speed, stayed down and got more roll on the ball and trusted it. He sent it to the right like you have to do. Stayed down, and you can really see that forearm and wrist action, that power of Jeff Mattingly.
Larry Laub. 5 strikes in this game, looking for number 6, and
Larry got a very good break on that shot. He lost that shot earlier than he's lost any of them, but of course that's Larry's style. This ball hits what we call the wall shot spot, and with the good roll that Larry has, he gets the hit pin off the wall to carry out the 4 and the 5. Steve Martin.
At stake, $16,000 first prize. That's 8 apiece. Mark Roth will become the #1 money winner on the tour
That's
this
a
year,
nice
no matter
shot.
what. Here's a good shot.
That was
from the other side.
He's happy with that one. He made a nice stroke that time, but he's still not lined up properly out there. He's got to get his line more opened up. He's got to have to get his feet moved to the left and get what he's targeting out to the right more and stay down and let that ball hook.
Now back live, here's Bomber Fallgren, and I tell you what, I gotta tell you, while we're waiting for commercial, Palmer came over to Steve Neff and said, "What am I doing?" And Steve said, "You're raring up. Stay down more." And look, this is a result of your little lesson there doing a commercial.
I don't think Steve will be too happy with me giving that. Steve Martin won't be too happy with me giving that tip to Palmer.
He's got the same opportunity. He can come up and ask you if he wants. Here's Larry Laub.
Larry Laub increased the lead here. He's working on a strike.
Up by 22 pins. And we're in the 9th frame.
There's a good shot for Larry.
See, that has happened so often on that lane. They had a good shot and left a 10 pin.
That's right, and that's because there's more oil on that lane and the ball wants to skid more. So when it hits the pocket, the ball deflects a little bit to the right. There's always a reason when you leave a pin standing. And the trick to being a good bowler, especially on the tour, is being very objective and understanding it.
Those eyes as he levels on that 10 pin and has it. Well, Larry Laub has been a tower of strength for Palmer Fallgren here. He's not open in any frame. Mattingly and Martin both have open frames.
Jeff is working on a strike here. He can cut the lead, cut the deficit to 12 pins.
Well, that's the way to do it.
Steve Martin is also working on a strike. When he comes up, if he strikes, they've got to cut to 2 pins.
It's 12 pins now, remember. 12 pins only. It was 33 in favor. As you take a look at Mattingly, he's got to be thrilled with this, because at the one time they were up by 33, went down by 22, and now they're only down by 12.
And let's see if Palmer Fallgren stays down on this shot and moves a little to the right and gets lined up.
Left himself one. The 4. Not over yet, folks. Not over yet. Tell you what, we did a big thing about how happy Palmer is, and every time we look at him today, he's got that determined look. Looking for the 4 pin. We're in the 9th frame of a match that is still up for grabs.
Mattingly and Martin can win this match just as they did the first one by striking out. They both got strikes in the 9th frame, which is so important in match play.
Martin in that first match against Hanley and Capel needed a double, got the double, and then just threw an extra strike just for kind of top it off. He's working on a strike, as Steve said, and we're in the 9th frame.
There's a nice shot.
Well, hello, number 10.
It's hard to move that 10 pin out this week, as it is in most bowling centers in the country nowadays with the plastic surface.
Mattingly and Martin fighting for their lives. They're still down in the 9th frame. Got that 10. Had to have that. Mattingly has had strikes in the 8th and 9th frame. He's now in the 10th. You can see the 12 pin difference, the scores through the 8th frame.
And this is the biggest shot of the match for Jeff Mattingly and Steve Martin.
And he's had trouble on this lane here. And has trouble.
Damn it.
Has trouble. Left himself the 3, 6, and 10. Needed the strike badly.
I'm surprised that Jeff didn't throw that ball more aggressively. He got soft on that shot and let it hook too much.
Takes out the spare. The loser of this match will divide, the losers I should say, $6,000. Hanley and Capel have already divided $4,800. The loser of the finals gets $9,000. It is still in doubt, but there's a 15-point difference as Larry Laub is up. Good looking ball. Yes, sir. Cleans it out. Strikes on his first ball in the 10th frame. Mattingly comes back looking on that and gets over in the other lane a strike. And he has finished with a 187. A disappointing game for Jeff Mattingly. 187. Opening in the 10th, finishing with a spare and a strike.
This is a very big shot for Larry Laub. If he strikes here, all Palmer Fallgren would have to do would be to mark in the 10th to win.
He strikes. Puts him up by 25 pins. Remember, Mark Roth, bowler of the year. He'll be the leading money winner after today, no matter what. Along with Marshall Holman, one of his biggest competitors, a young 24-year-old outstanding star, a team that has won this once before, waiting to meet the winners of this, and you'll see it live on Sports World. Larry Laub just tries to kind of ice things here with a good-looking ball and another strike. Winds up with a 225. Larry Laub. And Palmer Fallgren can almost throw himself down the lanes what he needs. He only needs 6 pins. Here's Steve Martin.
That was the best shot that Steve Martin has made in this match.
Palmer Fallgren right there has 2 balls to throw yet. All he needs total on both balls, 6 pins, and they got it. They were at one time down 33 pins in the 5th frame. This can ice it up. He's got the 6 pins.
Just enough.
Just enough to win. And if he gets one more, it'll be a little bit different. But he's got the win.
Palmer Fallgren is doing exactly what he told me he was working on not doing through the qualifying portion of this tournament. He's getting his hand to rotate around to the side of the ball, which is making his ball skid further down the lane and not hit the pocket. And
here's Steve Martin. It's a case of too little too late. As you see him throw the strike ball here, it's a good looking ball. He's praying for it, and he got it. But it's too little too late, because Palmer Fallgren, who left himself the pins, 4 of them, just has to knock down 1 here, and he'll get it. This is to ice it up a little bit. Good looking ball, and he just takes 2. He opens, but what a time to open when you only needed 6 pins on 2 balls. What a time to open. Laub and Fallgren have won. They will go on to face Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. Steve Martin finishing out.
Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren finished with a total of 378.
378 to 377. Can it be any closer than that? A 1-pin difference. Here is Martin. It's too late at this time. As we said before, he's got the same thing. He did not get the strike he wanted, but there's a 1-point difference of Palmer Fallgren and Larry Laub, who are down 33 pins in the 5th frame, have won it. They will go on to face Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. Well, we'll come back to San Jose. There's more Sports World to follow. Stay tuned. Lots of action left.
Well, we hit that.
Whoa! We'll come back for the PBA's Doubles Classic final. Mark Roth and Marshall Holman against Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren. And wasn't that a job they did? But now Sports World is going to take a break from here to go on to the fittest of them all. A grueling test, the 7th test, the rings. Watch the fittest of them all. California for the PBA Doubles Classic. And we have reached the finals where Mark Roth and Marshall Holman are waiting. They are the top seeded. They had 3 days of qualifying for this event. The top 4 teams advanced. They started from scratch in pin count, when Mattingly and Martin defeated Hanley and Capel in the quarterfinals. And then by 1 pin, coming from 33 pins down, Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren defeated Mattingly and Martin by that single pin. And now we're down to the race for the $16,000 first prize. Second prize will be $9,000. Mark Roth, the bowler of the year, and his partner Marshall Holman. But first up is Larry Laub, and they will be bowling. They will not complete their frames. They'll be bowling 2 balls virtually at one time. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open as Laub starts out by leaving himself the 4-7.
I think that 10-minute break affected Laub's shot. He was a lot softer on that one.
Now here's the bowler of the year, Mark Roth, who will be the leading money winner after today, no matter what. For this year, he is an outstanding bowler, and that's the way he starts, leaving himself the 4-pin. And now quickly back to Laub to finish his first frame. Looking for the 4-7 and covers it. This is going to be wild here, Steve.
I think one of the key factors in this match is whether Palmer Fallgren can get his concentration, get his feet slowed down, and start making good shots, because all the other three players are lined up and making good shots.
Well, he's next up as Mark Roth covers the 4-pin fine. And we start off after the first bowler of each team. We are even.
And here's Palmer's first shot. Look for him staying down and making a strong shot, which he did on that one. What a nice shot. Look at the power on that shot.
Steve Neff says he's the man to watch, Palmer Fallgren, because Roth has been just magnificent. Now here's Marshall Holman, a great competitor of Mark Roth's, but his partner today.
Like Mark Roth, Marshall Holman has a very strong ball. But on that shot, he did not get the ball out to the right far enough. He has got to trust the ball.
Left himself the 6-10 pin. Let's characterize, as we see Mark Roth, why is Mark Roth, as he's watching his partner Marshall Holman, so darn good, to put it frankly?
Well, because Mark has got the strongest ball on tour, and he's loose with it, and he's accurate with it, and he has got probably more instinct than any bowler on the tour. When he hits the line to release that ball, he can feel whether he's pulling it or whether he's losing it a little bit, and he makes last-minute adjustments better than anybody.
Marshall Holman, 24 years old, out of Medford, Oregon. And I look at that. He missed both the 6 and the 10 and starts the first frame with an 8. And that immediately puts them 12 pins down.
And that is unbelievable for a professional bowler to miss an easy spare like that.
Mark Roth started out with a spare and comes back with a strike. Saw what his partner did and came immediately back with a good ball. Larry Laub.
Larry Laub with the long approach and the earlier release. Good straight arm swing.
Larry Laub putting a little pressure on, he was hoping, but left himself over there with 7.
And on that shot, Larry's arm swing wasn't as straight as it had been in the last match. Got on the side of the ball, got the ball turning more and not grabbing the lane as much, and it deflected when it hit the pins. It's a routine spare, cross lane, third arrow. No problem.
Saratoga Lanes, this is the 19th consecutive year the PBA has stopped here. Now here's Marshall Holman, who opened in the first frame, coming back with a vengeance. Bingo, a strike.
And that was an excellent shot. Marshall Holman stays down on his shots better than anybody on the tour, and that's the main reason for his success on the tour.
Palmer Fallgren started out with a good ball on a strike in frame 1. Here he's in frame 2, leaves it out a little and gets some pin action and gets the strike.
Yes, and Palmer's shots are much better this game than they were last game.
That is something. So here we are. There's a 21 pin difference right now. Laub and Fallgren are leading in the race for the $16,000. These are the finals, and we'll be back after this.
My professional Nikon and I made history last year. Now my new Nikon, the EM, is making history. Simple to use, easy to afford. Just focus. If the light's bad, it beeps. Just turn this till it stops. Got it. The new Nikon EM. Affordable and practically foolproof.
Why just buy a camera when you can buy a Nikon?
To the winner in every man, Jockey Sportswear dedicates man-in-motion physical fitness gear. It's made with precise function in mind, and the Easy Care Dacron polyester and cotton blend provides comfort, cool breathability, and natural absorbance. In fact, with Jockey Man-in-Motion Sportswear, the harder you play, the better we look. Man-in-Motion by Jockey, dedicated to the winner in all of us.
Alcoa can't wait.
The lightweight strength of aluminum is making big things.
By 21 pins, and we'll see their next rolls in just a moment. But now we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KGW-TV, Channel 8 in Portland.
With Steve Neff, former Rookie of the Year and U.S. Open champion, I'm Jim Simpson, and we're live from San Jose, California. Here's Larry Laub. He's had a spare in the first and second frames, and yes, they call him the Lobster.
He's got a few nicknames on the tour. Another one is the Leaping Lizard.
Right now, he's looking for a good ball.
Larry got very soft on that shot. It's the same thing that happened starting this match after the last break.
That's a difficult one. A 3-10 split. As Mark Roth steps up here, working on a spare in the first and now a strike here in the second.
Mark's working on a strike. With a strike here, he can cut the deficit to 11 pins.
I'm glad you said that because he just did it.
Mark's going to be tough today, as he is always. And look.
And meanwhile, Laub opens in frame 3, and all of a sudden, from being up by 9 pins, Laub and Fallgren are a little bit of trouble. They're down by 1.
And that's just how fast this match can change in doubles competition.
You got to keep your eyes open. In the semifinal match, we had them complete each frame, but now they're bowling and just almost one ball right after the other.
And right now, Palmer's thinking, keep my feet slow, stay down, and stay behind the ball.
Give me a good
A little bit on the side of that one, and that's why it slid out. Did not bite, did not get up. The last frame Palmer threw on that lane, he stayed behind the ball more and carried out the light hit.
Well, they're 5 pins down now, as Fallgren has a rather difficult spare to convert.
And Marshall can extend their lead with a strike here. He's working on a strike.
Yes, sir. Marshall Holman opening in the first has had strikes in the second and third, and now Palmer Fallgren has a 2, 4, 5 pins.
One of the most difficult spares on tour.
Well,
No problem with it.
a race for the $16,000. Mark Roth raised in Brooklyn, learned there where they said the conditions were not good at all. And he learned to fight through bad conditions, and he came up with a strong ball, uncanny accuracy. Nothing bothers him. And he is working on strikes in the second and third frames. Oh, my. He's left himself the 3, the 6, and the 10. Larry Laub.
Larry Laub needs to get something working, needs to start striking.
He opened in frame 3. This is frame 4 for him. Good ball.
Mark Roth will be shooting cross lane for this spare and cutting his hook down.
Average for the 3, 6, 10 and gets them all. He liked that.
Yes, even though Mark throws one of the biggest balls on tour, covering more boards and more turn on it, he is probably the best spare shooter on tour. He throws the ball exactly straight at all his spares.
Roth and Holman probably bowl faster, am I right here, Steve, as a team than nearly anybody else here. Maybe it's because they just get so many strikes. I mean, they just step up there and knock the ball down. Like that. The pins just go flying everywhere. And after opening in frame 1, Holman is now working on 3 strikes.
You can really see the power of Marshall Holman and Mark Roth.
Fallgren. Fallgren gets the ball. Loves it. This is quite a match for the $16,000 between Mark Roth and Marshall Holman and Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren. And Roth and Holman are right now up by 22 pins.
Help! Help! Something to drink. Get this man something to drink.
Here you go, stranger.
Beer? Oh, I had something special in mind.
Bull.
Bull?
The Schlitz Malt Liquor Bowl.
It's a special premium brew that's in a class by itself.
Hey, Schlitz Malt Liquor tastes terrific. Could I get a 6-pack to go?
If you want to change up the pace with a big old taste, don't say beer, say bull. Oh, the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bowl.
On battlefields like this, weekends are won or lost. To win the war on grass and weeds, you need the ultimate weapon.
You can do it, Norman.
The new super lightweight, gas-powered weed eater trimmer. Its nylon line trims and edges easily where tools with cords can't. The new gas-powered weed eater trimmer. For people with other things to do than their lawn. See the yellow pages or call toll-free for your nearest weed eater dealer.
Whoops! Out of House of Windsor cigars again. House of Windsor Palmas, please. Yes. Let me show you another brand. Don't you know me? Is there a reward out for you? Look, House of Windsor's my cigar. Tastes good. Has a mild imported wrapper, choice rich tasting tobaccos inside, and it's triple sealed for freshness. House of Windsor cigars. Ooh. House of Windsor cigars. They taste like they ought to cost more.
Well, when you see the 22-point difference there, just forget that, would you? Because everything we've seen today, the winner has been down by 33, up by 40, only to win by 1, whatever. This match is still up for grabs, and here's Larry Laub, who did not start out well at all. A couple of spares, and then he opened in the third, but now he's working on the strike in frame number 5.
You know, the same thing has happened to Larry in each frame after a break. He's gotten softer and let the ball hook through the nose.
Mark Roth, spare, strike, strike. Now working on the spare in frame 5. Hadley. Oh, he got the 10 pin. I was about to say he left the 10 pin.
And that's the power of Mark Roth. Mark carries more of those shots than anybody on tour, and that's why he made $134,000 on tour last year.
And Larry Laub has just quickly stepped up and knocked down the 6 10 pins to complete his spare. And now it'll be Palmer Fallgren. Well, thus far, the 3rd ranked team in these final 4 teams beat the 4th ranked. The 2nd ranked beat the 3rd ranked, and now the top seeded team, Roth and Holman, have a 22-pin lead over the 2nd ranked team.
There's a very nice shot for Palmer.
Oh, there's a 10 pin. That's the story of the day, and you say the story anywhere place in the country.
That's right. That's the plastic surfaces that all the proprietors are using all across the country now. It's harder to get the ball into a real good roll to kick that 10 out.
Down by 22 pins. Roth and Holman are trying to put them down even more than that. But Marshall has left himself the 6 and the 10.
Palmer shooting cross lane for the 10 pin.
Has it.
And like Mark Roth, Palmer Fallgren really straightens out his shot to go for 10 pins and other spares.
Marshall Holman looking for the 6-10, and he gets them both.
And this time he makes it.
As a 20-pin lead is now, we're going to frame 6. There's a scoreboard. The total pins there. What you want to watch is what's between. We show you what they're doing individually, but look at what's in between the 2 scoreboards, and that shows you the 20-point, or I should say 20-pin difference. I want to tell you that Mark Roth is as strong as a bull.
And with that strike, Mark Roth increases their lead to 30 pins. Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren have got to start striking now if they want to get in this match and make it close at the end.
Well, that's not the way to do it. That is a difficult spare to leave there. Larry Laub has left himself the 6, 7, and 10. And down by 30 pins, it could be nearly disastrous.
Yes, it can. Larry Laub, for some reason, is throwing less speed now than he did earlier in the matches. And that's why his ball is going through the nose and leaving the splits.
This is a big ball for him right here. He needs it all and does not get.
That was an excellent shot. You can't get any closer than that.
What a cross. Just barely, just didn't have enough action to get over there. Incredible.
Marshall Holman's working on a spare.
44-pin difference now, and that's not going to make it any easier. Holman strikes. He's had 4 strikes in the first 6 frames. 106-5 for Marshall Holman.
Quite a contrast in these 2 teams. Mark Roth, Marshall Holman really turning the ball up strong and playing further left on the lane than Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren,
who has left the 10 pin. We said it when we came on the air. Mark Roth, an outstanding bowler. Marshall Holman, an outstanding young bowler. They are real competitors. They take turns beating each other head to head around the country, and now here they are teamed. And what a compliment to one another they are. Fallgren with the 10 pin. And has it. Last night when they introduced Mark Roth and Marshall Holman as the top qualifiers for today, the top seeded, Holman jumped on Roth's back and Roth carried him out like he carried him all the way.
That's because Mark Roth knocked down about 500 more pins through qualifying than Marshall Holman did. Marshall said, I have a big horse.
Larry Laub is now in his 7th frame. He has had 1 strike thus far in 7 frames. He's left himself the 4 pin. Here comes Mark Roth. All
and the power of the ball. Leaves the 7 pin.
And now Larry Laub gets the 4 pin. But it's not a good game for Larry Laub at all. Fallgren started out with 3 strikes in the first 4 frames and has had spares. But Mark Roth, for example, is working on a strike now, has 4 strikes altogether. Marshall Holman has 4 strikes altogether. And after working on the strike, Roth picks up the spare in frame number 7. He is 136 through 6 frames, whereas Laub is 92 through 6 frames.
Both Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren, with less turn on the bar, are using rubber balls, which grab the surface a little better than plastic balls for them.
Fallgren throwing now is tied with Holman. They've been going head to head, and Fallgren puts a little pressure on right there with a strike in the 7th frame.
One good thing
what they've got to hope for is that either Marshall Holman or Mark Roth opens in one of these frames, or it may just about be all over, and that's not the way to open, is it? Really knocks them down. There's a 54-pin difference. Mark Roth and Marshall Holman, the top-seeded, are leading Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren again by 54 pins.
Meet the only...
Mark Roth and Marshall Holman are 54 pins ahead of Larry Laub and Palmer Fallgren. Mark Roth, before today's match, averaged 233.7 pins per game all this week, starting on a Thursday afternoon. And he has already 4 strikes in his first 7 frames here, and that is a little bit, well, not too far below par, but this man is a magnificent bowler, and he may just prove me right here. No, he leaves the 10 pin again.
Reason for that 10 pin, the ball entered the pocket on what we call too much the front door. It wasn't hooking into the pocket when it hit, but rather falling back.
Larry Laub looking for a good ball. He's only had 1 strike through 7 frames. He needs something here. Needs it badly. Oh, and leaves himself the 7 pin. Doesn't get it.
And that's one of the very bad breaks in bowling. And Larry did not get soft on that shot as he had in previous frames.
Uh-oh, there's the open. Mark Roth has opened by missing the 10 pin in the 8th frame.
And that is one of the few times that anybody will ever see Mark Roth miss a spare.
Roth comes back, trying to make it a little closer. We're not over yet, folks. 43-pin difference, remember, thus far. But they went from a 54 to 43, and look out. Here's Holman working on the strike. And he has left the 10 pin. So very quickly, if Laub and Fallgren can get a little hot, we've got the same kind of turnaround we saw in matches 1 and 2.
With a strike here, Palmer can cut that lead another 10 pins.
Needs to stay low.
Needs to stay low, stay down, and stay behind the ball.
Did he do it?
No, he didn't.
2 straight on the pins. 2 straight on the pins.
Did not stay low. Did not stay down and through that shot.
Left himself to 3, 6, and 10. Marshall Holman now looking for 10. Doesn't want to open as Roth did, and does not. Both Roth and Holman are 155 through 7 frames. Laub is only 111 through 7 frames. Fallgren is finishing his 7th frame and gets the spare, and 146 through the 7th frame. There's a 42-pin difference now with Roth and Holman taking dead aim on the $16,000 first prize. Laub needs a good ball. Got a good ball. Larry Laub needed one and got one.
That was the best shot that Larry Laub has made the entire day.
Mark Roth coming off an open frame. Oh my, stand by, stand by.
And this match is really getting close now with the strike by Larry Laub in the 9th and a strike by Palmer Fallgren in the 9th. This match can get really close in the 10th frame. It could turn 60 pins in the 10th frame.
Roth has left himself the 8-10, but it's Palmer Fallgren who could put a little more pressure on by staying down, going through and getting the good ball. He wants that one and left the 10 pin. Gee, we've said that all day.
Yes, see, that ball hit weak, and it hit weak because his elbow got out a little bit, and he didn't stay behind the shot enough.
Roth goes for the 8-10 and settles for the 10, and is open for the 2nd time in 2 frames. Mark Roth. Can you imagine that? We're in the 9th frame right now. Palmer Fallgren working on the 10 pin. He has it. .32-pin difference at the moment.
And Marshall needs a strike on this shot.
Pressure's on. Marshall Holman, good-looking ball, and comes up with a strike.
That ball rolled at all the right points. When it had skid, then it rolled, and then it hooked on the back end, and all the points were right, so the 10-pin fell.
Marshall Holman 175 through the 8th. That leads everybody. Fallgren leads Roth 165, 164 through 8. Here's Roth now. Oh man, he cranked it up. Opened an 8 and 9 and starts out the 10 with a strike.
Larry Laub has a 191 possible if he strikes out.
That's a good-looking ball. And guess what, folks?
Story of the afternoon.
Isn't it, though? What might have been. And that is the 10-pin standing over in the corner. Roth with a strike to open the 10th frame. Coming back, looking for another one. Didn't get it.
No, that ball hooked just a little bit harder on the back end, and it hit a little bit high in the pocket, leaving a 4-pin.
Laub goes over, picks up the 10-pin. Roth again. Trying to cover that number 4-pin. And winds up with a 193. Now remember, he averaged 233.7 pins all week long. Today, 193.
The scores were extremely high all week. It took a 218 average to cash, a 220, almost a 223 average to make the finals.
Laub finishes with a 171. They started this 10th frame 32 points apart. Roth and Holman leading. Here's Marshall Holman. First ball, 10th frame, working on a strike. Left himself the 7th. Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. Roth today will become leading money winner. Here's Fallgren, not out of it yet, and left himself this time the 7th pin.
And that was the strongest shot Palmer's made in 2 games.
Roth and Holman have this all wrapped up, Steve. It is all over. There's nothing that can be done now in this frame. Mark Roth and Marshall Holman about, well, they've won it. Their 2nd PBA title and doubles in their career.
And with this win, Mark Roth ties Earl Anthony's record of having 3 consecutive wins in a row in the same house.
Still bowling, but it is going to be the $16,000 to be split between Holman and Roth, and the $9,000 to be split between Fallgren and Laub. Fine match. But despite the 2 open frames by Mark Roth in 8 and 9, there just wasn't enough there, as Larry Roth came in with a 171, Fallgren a 203, Roth 193, and Holman 213. They won it by a total of 406 pins to 374 in an outstanding match.
Yes, it was. Very good match. The difference in a match was the difference in the type of shot the 2 players throw. Mark Roth and Marshall Holman with the strong balls using plastic equipment and kicking the 10 out, and both Palmer, Fallgren, and Larry Laub with straighter shots, not as much turn on the ball, trying to keep up with them by using rubber balls that grab more. Couldn't quite do it this afternoon.
Well, there's the scoreboard you just saw, and the wives are very happy. And we're going to have an interview with the 2 winners in just a moment. Audience, which is behind me a little soon. I said, if you want to give these 2 gentlemen some applause, you can. Why don't we do it again? Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. Our congratulations. 2 great competitors. And I've got to go back less than 24 hours when these 2 gentlemen came out last night and qualified to go in position number 1 today, just to wait for the final match. They announced them as the ones going number 1. This man jumped on his back and he carried him out. And I don't know if I'm going to ask you to put Mark on your back today, Marshall, but you did a fine job along with Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I'll tell you, Mark bowled better than a human should bowl this week. It was just phenomenal. And I rode him hard, and I was digging in, and he held me up the whole 36 games, and I was just happy to be able to bowl good today. And Mark bowled a good game, too. And, boy, I'm glad we won this tournament.
Mark, we keep talking about how tough you really are. Accuracy, a hard ball, outstanding. You're now the leading money winner on the tour thus far this year, the bowler of the year. And even though he's your competitor, today he was your partner. This week he's been your partner. And it's got to be an outstanding 79, plus the fact, I think on Tuesday you will have been married 2 weeks.
Today is 2 weeks.
Today is 2 weeks.
I'd like to thank everybody here at Saratoga Lanes, and it's just been a great week. I love to bowl in San Jose, especially Saratoga Lanes. I've won here this third time now in a row. And, well, today was Marshall's day to carry me. I just had a little tough luck, and he deserved to carry me one game.
You know, we could talk all day, but if John Rizzo of San Antonio doesn't step in and give you the checks, my name is Mud, and you won't get your money. This is John Rizzo, a great friend of bowling from San Antonio. I'll hold it, John.
On behalf of the PBA and Saratoga Lanes, I like to make these presentations to the M&M boys, as I call them. Back during the baseball times, we had Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. Today we have Mark and Marshall that represent the bowling. And to you, Marshall, I'd like to present this check.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John.
And Mark, to you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John Rizzo, thank you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, who've been here the whole time, all through the week at the Saratoga Lanes. $8,000 apiece, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. Thank you very much. Our thanks to Frank Esposito, Butch Soper, who did our scoring for us, and our thanks also for Steve Neville.
Don Olmeyer. Coordinating producer, Linda Johnson. Coordinating director, Bob Levy. Fittest of them all, produced by Bernie Hoffman. Director of photography, Mike Hoover. Technical director, Dick Roker. Supervising unit manager, Lance Sherman. Associate director, Matt McCarthy. Next Sunday, the LPGA Championship with the defending champion, Nancy Lopez. And on Sports World, the USGF National Gymnastics Championships, weightlifting from Leningrad, the 200th running of the English Derby horse race. And on Fittest of them all, the final test, the survival run.